Welcome back to another RSMF video where we discuss relativity short message file format and make it as easy as possible for you to create those files. Today we're talking more about building a conversation, and one of the complaints that I got is that it takes too many clicks to build a meaningful conversation inside the message crawler. So what I wanted to do is shorten steps that are required to build it. However, I have a sort of a problem that I guess a lot of software companies have when you have different people who want to solve same problem, but they have completely different approaches to it. And so the thing that I've been told is, okay, so what is a conversation within a text message? Well, some people say, all right, just give me like a room ID or a channel name and then just chop it up by day. And that's perfect. That's a good, meaningful amount of data to give to a reviewer to review. And on the other hand, I have people who say, no, we don't care about any of that. What we want to do is we want to take names, from name to name, or from name and group participant names. Take all those names, put them into one big list, deduplicate that list, sort it, create into a string, build a hash out of it. And that's going to be a unique conversation between a group of people, regardless of the dates and any other things. So, of course, it's kind of hard to please everyone at this situation, but I think I may have a solution. Enough talking, let's go to the screen and I'm going to show you what I did. Okay, I have Google Hangouts data loaded, and what you can see now is we have a conversation field generated automatically. So no longer you have to go into data tools, generate conversations, all that. What I did at import is I took my conversation ID and this field that groups different chats together. This is generated by Google. Same field is present in Slack as well as Bloomberg. And then I used my timestamp and I formatted it down to a day. So we could see that on 6/14 we have a conversation going, and then on 7/2 the conversation is different, even though conversation ID is the same. Oops, I didn't mean to click on that. So the default way of generating a conversation is by either room or conversation or some kind of existing grouping plus a date. So this will be generated automatically for you whenever you load Slack, Google Hangouts, or Bloomberg. The other thing you're going to get right away is your sort date. This is another field that people say, well, we want to have a sort date just so that it's there automatically. I don't know if I have any attachments here, but if I do, sort date would be the same as timestamp, just push down to the attachment. So that solves a problem for some of the users. But then some people say, okay, well, we want it to be different. We want to take names, right, the way I explained it. So for that, we can go into generate conversation. And I had to completely redesign this conversation screen. I know if you got used to the previous one, I'm sorry. But here what we can do is use 3 different parameters to generate a conversation. So first we can use a static field, which is going to be our either conversation ID, room ID, or anything else. Then we can use our names. So in this case, it's going to be from and participants, right? Yes, participants. And the last is going to be our timestamp. So this is where we can use our date field. So if we to configure it this way, message crawler will take all those fields, it'll take our names, it'll build them into a string, sort it out, deduplicate, maybe do normalizing a little bit if you specify regular expression here, combine it with a date and time, format it to this, with D stands for just year, month, day. You can click on this, and then it'll generate a conversation. Now, each one of these 3 fields is optional, so you don't have to use names at all. And the same way, you don't have to use a static field or a date. You can just use names. So you can create any combination of these 3 fields. The next thing here is this is just like before. If message type is an attachment, we want to push it down. And here we can specify if we want to use a certain regular expression to clean up our names, for example. And the reason, actually name specifically, and the reason why we can do that, sometimes you get name combined with phone number, and sometimes you get really weird combinations of it. You get with a plus, sometimes phone number could be +1, sometimes without a plus. Names could be different, sometimes it's a nickname, or maybe if you have from two different phones, the name would be as how people would refer to the other person. So somebody could use their name like Nikolai, and the other one would have it as Nick. So what we can do is use regular expressions to strip out any characters we don't want. So this way we can keep, let's say, just phone numbers, and then that's going to group our conversations better if we just use the phone numbers as opposed to having names, because names may not be unique. Again, this is something for you to experiment and figure out what works in your situation. Everyone's data is different. In fact, I do have a names delimiter over here option, because sometimes you get data separated by commas, sometimes by semicolons, sometimes it's semicolon space. So you would have to specify it here. By default, I already generate conversation for you, so you should be good with that. But if you want to refine it, this is where you can go in and tinker with it. Now, if you don't get the results you like, and you want to know what is going on in the backend, why is it generating something like that, you can click on this conversation output and say return text as string instead of hash. This way, all these fields are going to get combined and use the logic that I described with the duplication and everything, put into a long string, but instead of hashing that string, the actual string will be outputted and put into a field. So you can actually see what the software is doing internally. This way you can see like, oh, okay, I'm not using the right character to delimit this, or I'm not using the proper date formatting or something like that. Or maybe you find the problem and you want to tell me about it. So this is how me and you can sort of troubleshoot problems, or how you can refine your criteria for conversations. So with that in mind, I think this is going to be enough options, and I hope this is going to satisfy everyone's requirements. We got ease of use, so we get conversation generated right at the import of data. Of course, it's not going to work for that file because that files are unstructured, so I don't know how to generate it. You will have to use the screen. But for Slack, Google Hangouts, and Bloomberg, conversations and sort dates generate automatically, so you don't even have to worry about it. And if you're a person who is not happy with the way conversation is generated automatically, which is the room and a date, you can go into generate conversation function yourself, and you can tinker with all the parameters, and you can build it out to however you like. So I hope this is going to keep both groups of people happy. Probably not, but there's going to be a third group of people who's going to say something else, but that's expected. So I will see you in the next video. Let me know how this works out for you. If anyone finds problems, issues, has any feedback, how we can simplify this further. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you next time.